All right. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you to everyone who is attending live. And for those of you who are catching this on YouTube, I really hope that you enjoyed this class. We are going to be focusing on a great DocuSign hack, and that is form templates. So if those of you are maybe a little bit newer to the world of DocuSign and you're not quite sure what this means, a form template is a way to pre-populate some of the documents that we have, including the contract and the CIS, to allow you to fill in a majority of this information prior. It allows you to automatically fill this information out. So you set it up one time, and then every time you go to write a contract, you can essentially just apply this template to the form and it'll fill out a lot of that information. So once you set up that form, it takes a little bit, but once it's set up, you're good to go and you can just reuse them over and over and over again. I do want to preface this class by saying that I can show you how to create the form templates, but I'm certainly not the best person to tell you what to put in the form templates. I discussed this with Janine yesterday, so she gave me some tips. So if you have any actual contract related questions, I unfortunately won't be able to answer, but I can show you how to set this up so you can go ahead and do that on your own. At any point in time, if anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself, shout it out, pop it in the chat, and let's rock and roll. All right, so I am currently logged into DocuSign, and we always go to rooms.docusign.com. Oh, well, that would help, wouldn't it? There you go, team. Okay. All right. So once you're in DocuSign, in rooms.docusign.com, you are going to click on this My Docs button on the top menu bar. And then from here, you're going to click on Form Templates. Now, I'm currently logged into Janine's account, so that's why you can see there are some form templates that are already created. Now, you'll notice that there are multiple form templates here. So we have 3 different contracts of sale, and there are also 2 CIS agreements, and then she has 2 Garden State Listing Commission agreements, one for rentals and one for sales. So you see that we can use these forms to populate the information for a number of different deals that we're doing. I'm going to focus on the contract for the most part because that is going to be the most information that we input, but I'll show you what we can do to make the CIS form populated as well. So the 3 names of the forms that we have here are the non-dual agent contract, the dual office contract, and the dual contract. So what's the difference between all of these? And if I didn't ask Janine yesterday, I wouldn't have known. So if you don't know the answer, it's A-okay. So a non-dual agent contract, that is when the property is listed by another office. So it is not listed by your home office. I'm in Rutherford, we're Keller Williams Park Views. If that property is listed with any other office out there, whether it's another KW or another brokerage, it's considered a non-dual agent contract. A dual office contract is when the property is listed by our office. So if you are putting in an offer for a property that is listed by an agent who is in your office, that would be considered a dual office contract. Now, if you're lucky enough to rep both the buyer and the seller, that's going to be a dual contract because you are representing both sides of the deal. Now, obviously, these contracts are going to have a little bit of variables between them. And what we can do is start with one of these documents, create our template, and then we can move forward from there. So in order to create a form template, we're going to click on this blue button right here. And this is going to open up something that's going to look a little familiar, where we are going to select either the library group, the form group or the form library. And then from there, you're going to select either the library or group that the document is part of. So the contract is a state form. It's going to be in the NJAR folder. Once you select that folder, you can use like the search button. So if I type in contract, it's going to come up right here, and it's form 118, the contract of sale. I'm going to click on that little circle next to it and then click on use. Once this populates, Once this populates, you will see that you have a blank template. Now, this is exactly what we see when we're going into our room and we're opening up a blank document, something that's brand new. But we can now begin to populate this document so we can use it on every deal for a non-dual agent, a dual office, a non-dual contract, a dual office contract, and a dual contract. So first things first, before you start working on the form, you're going to want to rename the template. In order to do that, you're going to come up to this left side corner here, and you're going to click on this little pencil icon. This will open up the name of the document. So you can erase template, or you can erase the whole thing and rename it however you'd like. So I'm just going to do NJAR, and this is going to be the non-dual contract. So once I rename that document, you have to click on this green checkmark button. If you type in the name and then you do all your other work and you hit save and close, the document name will not save to what you've changed it. So that's why I always recommend doing the document name first, hitting that green check mark, and now your document is remade. So we'll go through some of the things that you'll be highlighting when you are doing a non-dual contract. And again, I'm going off my notes here from Janine, so if I struggle a little bit getting through this, I apologize. But on page 1, we are simply clicking who we're representing. So in this instance, we are representing the buyer and not the seller. Let me just make sure that that's correct. Yes, okay. So we are going to be representing the buyer and not the seller. That's all we're going to do on page 1. Page 2, all of this information will change from purchase to purchase, so we leave this blank. But then as we go on, we can start to plug in some of the information that is going to stay the same from time to time. Let me make this just a little bigger. There we go. So on page 3, for example, line 57, we can put in, you can either leave it blank or say if blank left within 10 days. So that is certainly something that you can choose to fill in if you'd like. On line 61, your escrow company. So if this is, I guess someone that you're constantly working with, you can plug that in there. Janine also recommends filling out lines 76 and 79. Now on line 76, this is going to be the number of years on the mortgage payment schedule. So that's typically always going to be 30. Once in a while, you'll be changing that. So it's safe to say if you want to put in that 30-year mortgage, you can keep it here. Obviously, the price and the type of mortgage, that's going to vary from deal to deal. And then here on line 79, it's another one of those if left blank, then within 30 days. So if you wanted to put in 30 days, you can do that. Or you can choose to leave it blank. It truly is up to you, I believe. Don't hold me to it in case I'm wrong. As we scroll down, we're going to see line 94. And let me just see here. Expected closing date. So expected closing date, you're going to leave blank. That would be the actual date that you put in. So not for the contract, the template that we're filling out. But on the second line here, you can put in flexible closing. This way it will make it easier. That way you're not putting in a permanent date. It's something that can be discussed later on. Nothing else to do on this page. So as we continue to move forward, a lot of this stuff we leave blank because again, we don't know this from deal to deal. But if we come down to lines 115, wait, where is this? What did she tell me to do here? So this is going to be according to your MLS, but this isn't really part of that. Sorry, Janine gave me, and I had some wonky notes here. Now, line 138, this is something we do want to fill out for the closing agent or the title company. If you don't have a title company that you always work with, you can put in TBD. Now, I know a lot of us have title agencies that we work with, Carnegie Title, for example. So if you always work with Carnegie Title, and we encourage you to do so, definitely go ahead and fill in Carnegie Title here. But, if you, for whatever reason, if you're just not sure, you can always put in TBD. And then here on line 156, municipal assessments, it's going to be this second option here. We have not been notified of municipal assessments. On page 5, not too much else that needs to be done. All of this is going to be dependent on the property. And then on page 6, when we go to lines 251 and 259, we'll click not applicable, because most of the times these are not going to be applicable. Accessible requirements and point of entry treatment. All the rest is dependent on the deal. So we're going to move down to page 7 and 8. You can leave it blank because it is easier for the lawyer to come in and review everything. But if you did want to fill this out with these suggestions here, you can do so. So for example, Janine does like to do this. She'll plug in the dates that are listed right here. So she'll actually put in within 14 days. This is also 14 days. This one here is 7 days. So this, she suggested just, it can be easier when the lawyer reviews it to enter in this information. But again, it doesn't seem like it has to be a mandatory thing to put that in. Pages 9 and 10, we don't put anything in. And then page 11, this is really where the magic happens. So on page 11, sure, I'm on page 11. This is where we are going to be putting in all of the information for the participating firm, which would be us because we are representing the buyer, and also for the listing firm. So this example here is a non-dual contract.
Right above the form, the magnifier is even within the window.
Oh, I see. There we go. Thank you. That's better. Good looking out. All right, so we're on page 11. Now, again, this is the non-dual contract. So we know that this person who's putting in this offer is for a property that is not listed with our office. So we are leaving this entire listing firm section blank. But we want to come in and fill in the participating firm section. So that would be us. The license number will go in here. I do not know it. I'm just going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The participating agent, that would be each and every one of you. And then your license number. Then we're going to put in the address of our office. The office telephone number, fax number, agent cell phone, etc. So once we fill in all of this information, we can go ahead and click on Save and Close. Now that I've saved this form, we're going to see that this now populates in all of my form templates here. So my kind of wonky contract of sale that we've just done, that form template now lives here. And any single time I'm going to be writing an offer, I can apply this form template within the room. And I'll show you guys how to do that towards the end. Absolutely. I will absolutely show you how to do that. Now, we need to create the other 2 contracts, but we can make it even easier on ourselves than going in and doing this whole thing from scratch all over again. Once you've created that first form, you can then click on the drop-down menu next to that form and click on Copy. Always good to copy. Copy, copy, copy. Now, once this loads, again, we'll see that the name of the form is called non-dual contract copy. So right away, we want to come in here, edit it. I'm deleting the word copy. I'm deleting the word non. And now we're going to do the dual office contract. And I'm going to click on that green button to save it. So now the name is saved properly. So if we are doing a dual office contract, then we are going to select both the seller and the buyer. So that is one change that we will make. I believe most of the information stays the same until page 11. So here we are at page 11. What's great is that our information is already here because we copied that form. So I'm just going to come back in here now, and this is going to be a, what is this, dual office contract. So we know that the listing firm is also going to be Keller Williams Park Views. The license number is 123456. We don't know who the listing agent is. It's not going to be us, and we don't know who it is. So that's fine. So we can leave the listing agent and the license ID spot blank, but we can continue to fill in the address, office phone number, etc. We can save and close this one.
So you put the address, right? Office number is.
Yep, you populate everything that is not going to change from deal to deal in that form template. So now I'm going to do that same exact thing one more time. I'm going to go to the dual office contract I just created and click on copy. I'm going to edit the name. I'm going to delete copy. And I'm also going to delete office because now we're doing a dual contract where we are representing both the seller and the buyer. So again, we're going to leave this here the same because we are representing both the seller and the buyer. And then we'll go down to page 11. Yeah.
I'm a little bit confused now because what's the difference between dual contract and the dual
Office contract, excellent question. So the question is, what's the difference between the dual contract and the dual office contract? The dual contract is when you are representing both the buyer and the seller. The dual office contract is when you're representing the buyer, but the listing is in our office.
Yeah.
So, and I know this is something that a lot of people get confused on. I sometimes get tripped up explaining this myself, but this ties into that dual agency form where we want to have this form signed because technically, you know, let's say Maura has a property listed and Ariel is taking his client to view that property. Even though they are not, you know, the same person, they both are agents of our broker. So I hope I'm explaining this correctly. Since they are both agents of our broker, that means that both of their clients are clients of the broker as well. So that kind of explains the dual agency, where even though the client may not be working with, you know, both agents, they're still going to be related in that fashion because the property is listed from the same office that the buyer's agent is in. We do have a little graphic out there somewhere about dual agency, and I know Judith is amazing at explaining this. So if anyone ever needs more clarification, Judith, you might be getting a call or two. So now we're going to go back down to our favorite page, page 11. And here we're adding in just a little bit more information. So now this is the dual contract. We're representing both sides. So we know that, of course, it's going to be our office, but now the listing agent, it's going to be us. And then you put your license ID here. What's my pretend number? 567-891. There we go. Fill in all the rest of it and hit save and close. So that wasn't so scary, right? It only took me about 20 minutes to get all three of those contracts pre-populated. It's going to save you so much time. It may seem like a big task to sit in front of your computer and get this set up, but really it's going to save you so much time in the long run. And especially if you have a great video like this to help walk you through it, it'll make it even easier.
So are you going to be able to send those tally?
Absolutely. Yep. This will be living on YouTube. So everyone, you can watch this for years and years to come. Now, what I want to do very quickly is I'm going to delete the forms that I just made because I don't want to mess up Janine's DocuSign. So this is exactly how easy it is to delete these forms. Delete, delete. And so now we still have her original forms here, dual contract, dual office, and non-dual agent. So if you just want to take, you know, one quick look at one of her completed examples, this is going to be the dual contract. And we test our patience, waiting for DocuSign to load. So we see she's got that first one checked off here. All of this page 2 is left blank. Yes, absolutely. Page 2 is left blank. She's got, some of this here, 10 days after ARIP. So that's what she's got on line 57. The trust account of the seller's attorney. So that's going to go on line 61 on page 3. Here's where she did put in that 30-year mortgage with the 30-year payment schedule. If applicable, no later than 30 days after ARIP. You'll see if left blank, then within 30 days after the attorney review period is completed. So she's essentially just taking that if left blank information and populating it. She mentioned that this is just easier when you're passing it on to the attorney for them to dissect everything and work their magic. So not mandatory, but could be something that's helpful. As we continue to go down, we see a lot of blank spots. Here's that no on the municipal assessments. Here we go, the point of entry and the cesspool requirements. Those are also both not applicable for a majority of the time. And then as we get to page 11, we are going to see, here it is. Where are we? All of her information is filled out. So this is the dual contract. So we see all of her information in both the listing firm and listing agent spot, as well as the participating firm and participating agent spot. Our office number. Yes, so if anyone's in Park Views, you need our license ID. It's 185-9224. Bingo. So we see how easy this is to create these forms, right? It's not that scary. It's not that hard. You can also do the same exact thing with the CIS forms. I don't feel like I need to really dive into those. Those forms are very, very simple, but essentially you can have a buyer CIS and a seller CIS. So if we look into the seller CIS, really the only difference is going to be that little bit at the bottom, where we see we have it filled out in this top spot here for sellers and seller's agent and dual disclosed if the opportunity arises. For the buyer, you would have the buyer agent company here. The listing agent company will be left blank, and you would click buyer's agent and disclose dual agent if the opportunity arises. You can continue to do this with as many forms as possible. Of course, the contract of sale is going to be the form with most of that information. A lot of the other forms, I think, are dependent on the client and the property address. But if you do have different listing agreements for rentals or sales, there's a few little changes you can make as well. So now the question of the hour. We have our templates created. How the heck do we use them? I'm going to go into a room. And I'm actually going to create a new room because, again, I don't want to mess anything up with hers. Oh, she has a test room. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to come into this test room here, and I'm going to go to Documents. Now, this is the contract of sale already in here. So what I'm going to do is simply right-click on it. And when I right-click, we see that this option comes up, Apply Form Template. Now, if you're clicking on a document that doesn't have any templates available, you will not see this option, obviously. But because we have these templates available, we can easily apply them right in the room. So as we know from the workflow that I never stop talking about, we've created our contact in Command. We've then created the opportunity in Command. Within that opportunity, we've selected our checklist type. That's telling the system what type of deal. Is it residential? Is it commercial, etc. From there, once you click the Start a Transaction button, it creates the DocuSign room for you, and most of the documents that you'll need will be automatically brought into the room for you. So once you're there and you've completed those steps, you can simply go to all of these templates, right-click, click on Apply Form Template, and then you'll choose which one you want to use. So it's easy. This situation, it's dual office. I'm putting in an offer on Freddie's listing. So I'm going to select dual office contract. and apply.
So we have to add it regularly, then select apply template.
Yes, exactly. So the question was, in case anyone didn't hear it, we would have to have the blank form template in the room first, and then you apply the pre-populated form template. But again, that beauty of that command workflow is all those documents are already in there for us, so we don't have to worry about adding them in ourselves. Now, I accidentally clicked on the wrong form template. What do? I can simply click on that and I can select a different template if I need to.
So every time, let's say you do something for a day, you gotta go to use template and just apply it.
And just apply it,
Whatever
exactly.
you have to.
Exactly. Now, the only thing to be wary of is that if you filled out a lot of other information and you apply a different template, the new information that you've inputted will be overridden. So if you fill out a template and you put all of the property address for the house you're making an offer on, all of your mortgage information and that stuff, and you realized, oh, I used the wrong template. By applying a new template, it will override everything. So in that instance, it's probably easier to just manually go in and fix those little elements. And really, my understanding is that the main things when we're talking about non-dual versus dual office versus dual contract is really going to be on page 1 at the top, where we're talking about who we're representing, and on page 11 when we're putting in the listing office information and the participating office information. Make sense?
So the key thing is to make sure you can go to My Docs, you have your core 3, right?
Yep.
That those are correct.
Yes.
You don't want to be uploading, wrong templates.
Yep.
And then every time you have a new transaction or room, you have to add the jar, contract of sale, and then apply the template.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So we just reviewed that workflow. And let me show you guys something else you can do as well.
So I
Now,
have a question. So
yeah.
when you create the opportunity in command, automatically you're gonna get all those forms in the room.
yes,
So in that case, most of those contracts are basically empty, right?
exactly. So when we create that room through command, all the documents are already loaded into our room. We don't have to worry about manually adding them in. So once all the documents are here, we can just, pick out the ones we have the templates, right click, apply that form template, and then begin to fill in the rest of our information. So actually that is a great point, Freddie. If you are going to be using these form templates, do that first before you start putting in the rest of your information in your details page or start populating it in some of the other documents. Because if you, start populating in the address of the house that you're going to be putting an offer in and the mortgage price and all of that, and then you go to apply the template on the contract, I believe that information is overridden and you'd have to put it back in. So just making sure you're getting the correct order in. So first things first, once you create that room, apply your form template. That's going to be key. Now, if you're ever in a situation where you didn't follow the workflow, or if you need something in a pinch and you're creating your room from scratch, kind of like we see our test room here, there is another way we can apply this form template, and that's actually when we're adding in the document into the room. So once I click on add and I go to DocuSign forms, which is always how we want to add forms in, I can then go to the correct form. So I know in this one, it's the CIS. So once I click on CIS, we see that this little drop-down popped up. Nothing here, and then boom, template. The system knows that this form has templates available. So I can actually select this template right from the get-go. Buyer template, add selected. So now I've added in this template. And when I click on it and patiently wait, when we scroll down, we see that this information has been filled out for us. And most of the time, you probably won't have to do that because those docs are added in automatically. But if you're ever in a pinch and you need to do it that way, A-okay. Do you guys have any questions? Anyone out in Zoom land? No? That's okay. I'm happy that there are no questions because it kind of shows how easy this is. Which is great. You know, this is something that we haven't focused too much on. Janine did a great class last year and we just haven't gotten a chance to do another class. So I'm really happy that I had the opportunity to show you guys something kind of new, fun and exciting. And, you know, hopefully you can, you know, rewatch this if you need to look back on it. And of course, you can reach out to me or Janine if you have any questions, but it is pretty easy to do. And once you just take that 20-30 minutes to sit down and get those 3 templates for the contract made, they're in your computer, they're in DocuSign, they're not going anywhere. So once you get it done, they're done and they're there for you and it's going to help make your life that much easier. Awesome. Well, guys, as always, please never hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions at all. I wish everyone the best of luck and I hope you all have a great day.
Woo.